email is on my Twitter bio, so they also reached out that way. So it's a great way to meet people. You mentioned that I went to Columbia Journalism School. And when I entered Columbia, I was expecting a super traditional instruction in journalism. But actually, social media was a big part of our instruction. And we were taught by my professors who are veteran journalists from the New York Times and ProPublica, how to scrape social media, to find data, to find sources. If you troll through a hashtag, if you scroll through a hashtag, it's easy to find people who are, expressing their opinions about a topic in a faraway country. And that's how I'm able to connect with them and get their personal stories on the news. And then Instagram is my downstream media. And what I do there is I walk people through what I do in a day. And this is all on my private account because my company has quite strict media guidelines. But I've started doing it on Facebook stories too, since now you can share on Instagram and Facebook simultaneously. And so my friends and my relatives are quite familiar with this routine. I wake up at 6 a.m. Tokyo is 2 hours ahead, so around 8 a.m. I take a call from my editor. We talk about what I'm going to do through the day. I go to the office, I go for interviews, I have lunch with contacts, I find out what they're thinking, what they're doing, what news is going to be coming from their companies. And then I go back to the office, I write a story, and then that's a whole day for me. And I really enjoy that because it adds transparency to journalism. I think in our profession, there's a lot of mystery around it. The general public don't really know how the sausage is made. And so I use social media to show you how it is made.
That's great. I love that. So we watch you work through a window every day. You pull apart the curtains and then we see your process. That's great. Minnie, startups, of course, there's a huge universe, there's a galaxy of startups, and many of them are just very, very specialised and none of us ever see them. But there are a whole class of startups that are all about amplifying the news, perhaps, to your point, scraping the news to see what's true and what's not. I mean, what's your experience at TechSource about the startup community and the news?
Actually, for the startup ecosystem, there are many social media monitoring tools. And basically, for the social media monitoring tool, they will gather all the information from the social media. But what they do is, right now, once they start the social media monitoring tool, for example, last 10 years ago, in terms of the fake news, the word that you mentioned before, at that time, the fake news is not big like at this moment. But at this time, we have seen a lot of the fake news because of the political issue, because of there are many the topic that some people who want to feed the wrong news into the social media. So the social media monitoring tool, they try to add the category to collect and create their own data, like their own database. For example, let the people to update that, okay, I think that this is the fake news. So they can update to the portal. And the portal can collect the data and keep it at the database. So once some people report this, if we want to cross-check again whether this new fake news or not, so we can cross-check with the database. This is the first one that we have seen from the technology that we can do. But the second one, we try to think in advance that whether we can teach the AI, or we call it the machine learning, to understand and analyze the fake news, whether it is a fake news or not. But actually, like previously, before I started TechSource, I am Amazon London, another startup that are focusing on the social media monitoring too as well. But it's quite hard because of the language, and it's quite hard in terms of the context because the keyword inside. Sometimes we have like a slang keyword, the local keyword is totally different in based on different language. So what we do is, in terms of the technology, we have like to let human and the machine work together. It's like a complementary. We cannot like teach the AI to learn everything and judge this is fake news or not fake news. So we have like, once they analyze first, and after that we have to let the human and the staff to reanalyze again whether this is fake or not fake news. But actually, for my opinion, at least for the first step, like a clickbait title, we can do it. For example, if it is a clickbait, but inside the content, inside the article or inside the article, we can, if we cross-check whether it is not the same topic or the same area, so we can say that, oh, this is possible that they try to create a clickbait link, or they try, the clickbait title. So this is the technique that we can do, but we still encourage the audience. We cannot teach or guide everyone this is fake or not fake news, but at the end we have to like teach them how to develop their critical thinking and how to develop the. I would like to say this is like a conscious media consumption, how to analyze by themselves. This is the most important thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, all of us, I think, have looked up a topic or an organisation. Say, after January 6 last year, I was looking up QAnon. I was trying to think, I don't know enough about that. They certainly look completely crazy with interesting views. So by simply searching for it, I then was inundated on my social media channels, emails or posts from QAnon supporters, or even what I thought was traditional media but had been corrupted to appear to be in favour of some of the QAnon philosophies and methods. I mean, Jonathan, what do we do about that when we see it coming across our terminal?
I think that, there's the risk of overload, and I think it's interesting. I mean, I covered the election in the Philippines recently, where the issue about sort of the weaponization of fake news was raised. And talking to Maria Ressa, who's been campaigning on this, she's still very much going for the social media companies, saying they have to do more. I actually spoke to people in Facebook beforehand, and they've got a lot of teams working on trying to look out, obviously, for what they make a distinction between disinformation and misinformation, but looking for patterns and trying to stop those. But the reality is that, I said to Maria, the only way you're going to police giants like Facebook and YouTube, actually YouTube was very influential in the Philippine elections, is by abolishing them altogether, because their business model relies on this sort of proliferation, this sort of multiplication of chasing people's preferences, of sourcing. This is the environment we live in. For us as journalists, it's enormously challenging. Just for consumers, it is as well. And we are, I think, one of the things the mainstream media can do, and the BBC is doing it, I know the Financial Times does it, with our own dedication to truth and to verification and to balance as well. Whether we get that right or not is another matter, but that's an actual mission, is to have dedicated services within news. So in the BBC there's a channel called Reality Check. So the moment something gets out there that looks like that's got traction, that looks like it's fake or something's being challenged, immediately they will go to the best source of information and just say to people, we've done really diligent research and this is our assessment of it. They did it, we've had over the war in Ukraine, when bodies were found in Bucha after the Russian forces withdrew, immediately there were theories out there that somehow these bodies were being faked. And the BBC was very quick to put up a piece saying, we can see why people think it's faked, and showing the videos, but in fact it's not. We have to do that to help people, because this is a really bewildering environment where you are bombarded by stuff where you often aren't sure where it's coming from. It's a big effort. Somebody throws a conspiracy theory at you, you've got to think, well, maybe it's true. And that's what happens with a lot of people. They think, maybe it's true, and then they get a lot of conspiracy theories. Then they think everything's a conspiracy theory, and so the news that wants to be trustworthy is viewed as just another dodgy source.
That is such a lot of doublethink, and it's quite depressing. But for you, Francesca, I mean, how do you sift through the fake news? How do you present yourself as a gold star journalist working for a premium media outlet?
This is a lot of where the transparency on social media and sharing how I do my work comes in. I think at the FT2, you've seen a lot of success with the personality-driven newsletters that are anchored by a specific editor who's an expert on that topic and has the contacts to be able to write authoritatively about that topic. I think with social media now, we know which of our reporters are the most read and whose stories get shared the most. Like, for example, my incredible colleagues in Taipei, no one is better sourced on the supply chain for Apple than they are. Their stories, they break stories every day. They get so many views. But it's quite difficult to ask them, hey, like, spend some time on Twitter, like, engaging with readers, because it takes time away from their reporting. And so that's where, we really need a dedicated social media team. And with the sifting through fake news, I try to, instead of arguing with people, I try to plant the question. At the end of term in Japan in May, at the end of term, I was invited to speak to some university freshmen about media literacy. And some of them came in like looking to argue with me about social media and the mainstream media. And one of them said to me, you work for Nikkei. That's the most mainstream of mainstream media outlets. Why should we read you? Like, why should we pay to read you instead of, follow someone on Twitter? And I explained to him, what differentiates me as a journalist from an influencer is I get edited. It's the editing process. And so I just walked him through what that is. I walked him through what that is, my daily life as a reporter. And after that, I think he understood because he followed me on Twitter.
That's great. And it's so interesting that we have to now change ourselves quite a lot in order to attract subscribers, because the advertising model has been shot. And of course,